I'm going to begin with the Executive Director of the Pennsylvania Institutional Law Project, Ming Yeh.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chair Williams, Chair Heffley, Representative Madden, and members of the Human Services Committee. Again, my name is Ming Yeh. I am the Executive Director of the Pennsylvania Institutional Law Project, and thank you very much for this opportunity. And we've submitted written testimony along with my colleague, Sarah Bellows. The Pennsylvania Institutional Law Project is a nonprofit legal aid organization, and we seek to protect and advance the constitutional and civil rights of people who are incarcerated and detained in Pennsylvania. But specifically, what we seek to do is ensure everyone is treated humanely, that they have access to medical care and mental health care, that they are safe from violence and sexual abuse, and have the ability to observe their religion and have their disabilities accommodated while they're incarcerated. So I want to just give a few highlights because I know I only have 5 minutes. Starting with a client of ours. So we give some statistics in our report, but the human face of this is an example by Sean Strickland, who has struggled with opioid use disorder since he's been a teenager, starting off with Percocets. His story is very similar to other folks. Finally reaches some stability on a daily methadone program, and then unfortunately is arrested for some supposedly not appearing for a hearing for unpaid costs and fines. Gets arrested, and unfortunately the county jail here where he's at has no program for methadone or buprenorphine, so he is forced to withdraw. It's extremely painful. Something I've learned is that it's actually very painful to withdraw from methadone. And on top of that, even after he was released about 6 weeks later, he is experiencing post-acute withdrawal syndrome because you can't just get back onto methadone when you're released. And to his credit, he goes very soon, like the next day or 2 days, he goes back to his methadone program. But you have to titrate back up to your what's called therapeutic dose. And all that time, he is suffering. We're in touch with him, and I'm worried about him because he's not getting what he needs because it's too dangerous to go right away. And so he's experiencing cravings and all the symptoms of opioid use disorder. He is an example of why all county jails should offer all 3 forms of FDA-approved medications. While many jails through the programs, it's a first step to offer Vivitrol or naltrexone, the medical community out in the community, many people, and most people, in fact, are prescribed buprenorphine and some methadone, especially with the increased use of fentanyl and the use of xylazine in the drug supply, and now I've heard about medetomidine. It's really critical to be able to offer buprenorphine and methadone because of the potency of these drugs. And sometimes the reason why it's important is because sometimes naltrexone just doesn't work for folks. We've had a lot of clients who've tried it in jail. They are desperately trying to stabilize themselves and get on the right path, but it hasn't worked. And so therefore they are trying to get access to buprenorphine. And what they're trying to do is just seek feeling normal. So we've heard a lot. I think there's a misconception about, for example, buprenorphine. Oh, people are just getting it, using it to get high. Or our clients countlessly, constantly tell us it's not to get high, it's really because it makes me feel normal, it makes me feel like I can function like a human being. So in 2022, we decided to issue a report looking at every county jail and what their policies and protocols were in the access to medications for opioid use disorder. And since then, the landscape then evolved due to various reasons. It's funding, litigation, pressure from the Department of Justice, and ever-changing, community sentiment as well. And so in 2024, we did an update, and I believe that we had mailed a copy to each representative, state senator, with the latest report. In our testimony, we have a slight update on our map. And so while there has been progress forward, I want to emphasize the huge gaps that still remain and the very important gaps. So just to highlight for today, currently still, 16% of jails do not provide any mood, or they only provide it in very limited forms or limited amounts, or to limited people. The other issue to highlight is many jails, as they start providing it, start with what we call continuation. Someone comes in with a prescription and they're continued on that. That is important because that prevents someone from withdrawing from a particular medication and keeps them stable. But just like someone who comes in, let's say you find out they have diabetes or hepatitis C or they're pregnant, the jail is obligated constitutionally and under the medical standard of care to provide medications and medical treatment for them. The same thing is here, so we call that induction. And currently, 73% of jails still do not have an induction program. And then the last gap that I just want to highlight is the gap of methadone, which admittedly there are different logistical challenges in administering a program, but it can be critical for many people. And 33% of county jails still do not provide methadone. And then the other point, a couple points to emphasize is one is, there are also challenges we hear from individuals, even if a jail does have a program. So, we heard one jail was handcuffing people while they had to get the medication or giving the medications like at 2 a.m. So I understand the challenges in administering this, but we must do so in humane ways. And then we also get reports of people who are being removed from these medications for non-medical reasons. And I think that's in part due to stigma and a misunderstanding. People who seek to have their medication are blamed for being addicts and trying to get more drugs, but it's not. It is a medication and a medication that works. It is also required by the Constitution, required by federal and state law. Thank you very much.
Thank you.